Hi beauties. I want to talk about vulnerability. This morning I woke up feeling my vulnerability, and I've really been diving into today what an interesting space it is. Because when we're vulnerable, we feel exposed and unsafe and unguarded and susceptible. It feels fragile to be vulnerable. Yet, it really takes a lot of strength to be vulnerable, to open up our hearts and lay our weaknesses and our fears and our susceptibilities on the table. You know, as I come here today and share, and I'm feeling prompted to try and share every day. But it feels vulnerable. It feels vulnerable to open my heart and lay out my beliefs. Because so often we want to put on our masks, we want to put on our bravado, we want to convince ourselves that we've got it all together. But if we're doing that, we're not actually showing our authentic self. And deep down, we're actually all scared that our authentic self isn't good enough, isn't worthy enough, or doesn't deserve to be loved. So how do we come into a place where we feel safe to be vulnerable? It's a quandary, right? It's a quandary of the human spirit, the human condition. You know, we all speak about how important vulnerability is, but how often do we actually practice it? I had a conversation with someone dear to me last night where I really opened up. And through that conversation, I actually found out things about myself that I wasn't aware of. And then this morning I wake up feeling vulnerable because I have trusted someone with parts of me that I'm now have an innate fear that they could turn around and use that as a weapon against me. And I don't think they're going to at all. But I recognize that that's an emotional response in my body. And do you know why? Because that's what we do to ourselves. We use our weapons against ourselves. We beat ourselves up with them. We create prisons for ourselves with our insecurities. And we let our fears haunt us. It's like our inner child is cowering within a corner. That's my cat saying hello, by the way. And all she wants, or he wants, is to be loved, to be heard, to be accepted, to be acknowledged. So what does this inner child do? They adorn costumes, they have a hairstyle, they adopt slang that they hear everyone else saying, trying to see if that is a better expression of themselves that gets this response of being accepted and loved and cherished and welcomed. None of us want to be abandoned. All of us want to feel included. We want to feel safe. So where is vulnerability showing up for you, and do you hide from it? How can you actually lean into the spaces so that you have a chance to actually uncover something new about yourself? It's like we crave the safe cocoon of belonging so that we can feel safe to fly. And we want to know where our home is and where we belong, so that when we come home from flying, we can come back to comfort and security. It's like we want to be contained so we can be free. We want to feel safe so we can experiment with the absolute divinity of who we are. Is this making sense? You know, we seek the smiling faces and the approval of our caregivers our entire life. in everywhere we go, in everyone we see. Are we okay? Are we safe? Should I try this? Do you still love me? We want that approval because all of us still have our inner child ranting and raving and talking about something that hasn't been met. You know, I've still got my inner child whispering to me going, but we didn't do what you said we were going to do, what we wanted to do. And it's like, I'm doing it. I'm doing it every day. I'm showing up for myself, but it's hard. It's hard and it's vulnerable. And whilst I want to encourage all of us to be vulnerable, I want us to have some faith in others to hold our vulnerability close to their heart. You know, we guard our hearts with a wall of beliefs. Beliefs that we've told ourselves, beliefs that we've let the world tell us. And, you know, like impressionable children, we eat up every word. You know what? It's time to write a new story. It's time to write ourselves as the heroine or hero. It's time to write a story and a beautiful, huge novel about how we feel safe and secure in ourselves, how we can trust others with our vulnerabilities and know that they're going to hold it close to our hearts. So if you're writing your story, what's the first chapter? What's the first scene that you set? You know, this is your story. So make it a good one. Thank you. Thank you for hearing me in my vulnerability. And I look forward to hearing and holding you in yours.